Hey guys.
Hey!
So it's the end of the school day on the first day of school. What you guys don't know is that teachers celebrate the first day of school too.
With ice cream!
Um, but Miss McEvers and I, we wanted to get ice cream because it's one of our favorite summer traditions. Especially this year, with how weird it was. But it helps us to slow down and enjoy a little bit. So today's chapel is different than normal. We don't. It's not like we have a structured message or talk that we want to give to you. We just really wanted to have a conversation about what we've been learning this summer about slowing down. So it's different. If you have to go to lunch in the middle of this, just hit pause. But Nevers,
Yeah.
what do you think is like one of the biggest things that you've been learning in this COVID season? I mean, we talked about slowing down, but explore that with us a little bit.
You know, it's such a good question. I think so many people have thought about like the negative things about quarantine and the negative things about the virus, and there are a lot of things that have been really hard.
Yeah.
But I just have been really delighted in just the time that I've been able to spend with my family.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the word I would use is delighted. There's a lot of things that delight me. I'm easily delighted, but I just it's just that idea of slowing down and watching life happen around me rather than just like being so busy.
Mm-hmm.
I just feel like I'm so busy, and I'm tired of walking through the halls and somebody saying, "Hey, McEvers, how you doing?" And I'm like, I'm just really busy.
Yeah.
And so quarantine has helped me with that.
Well, yeah, one of my least favorite things is when somebody asks me, how are you doing? And I have to reply with busy, because everybody's busy. It's like the worst reply ever. But the honest answer is, yeah, I just have a lot going on. I'm very busy. I mean, even well, today is the first day of school. But many of you asked me when you saw me running through the hallway at the beginning of the morning, you're like, Mr. Norrell, how are you? And I'm like, I mean, I'm good. I'm running like crazy, but I'm good.
I want to stop and talk to you, but I'm busy.
I'm busy. Yeah, I would agree with you. Like, one of the things that has been really important to me in this season has, well, I have the world's longest morning routine.
It's true. It is so true, you guys. It's like 4 hours.
My morning routine, as of this summer, is now like 4 hours long. Yes. Because I'm like in a million Bible reading plans. I just love to sit there with my cup of coffee in the morning. I go for a run now. That's part of the routine. Like, there's just endless things. And before you know it, it's noon. And gosh, one of the hardest things for me is trying to figure out how to keep some of those things that I've found to be really valuable to me. Now that we're so busy, like,
Yeah.
or the busyness is like right on the cusp of us again.
Yeah.
Like, what do we do with this?
And I think the thing, onto what you're saying, I think the thing that we have to remember right now, and I'm trying to remember as much as I can, is like, now that we might be, or hopefully are kind of coming out of this season of slowing down, how can I be intentional with the things I'm choosing to do?
Yeah.
Because I don't have to keep on, I could just stay doing the things I'm doing.
Yeah.
I could say no to everything right now. So it's really just kind of choosing what are my priorities, what are the things that I want to keep from quarantine. Because there's a lot of things that happen during quarantine that I don't want to see go.
Yeah.
And so what are those things? Do you have certain things, Paul, that you don't want to see go? I mean, you talked about your morning routine.
So one of the things that I have absolutely loved from this season, I started in the Bible app on my phone. I started Bible reading plans with people, and it's been an option in the Bible app for a long time, but it's never really seemed enticing to me until all of a sudden you couldn't see people, and the best way that I could communicate with people on a daily basis was through this Bible app and in conversation. And now, like, I have 3 year-long ones that I'm doing that's just a part of it, and then I have weekly ones that come and go with various communities, but it's a chunk of my day that, like, is non-negotiable for me at this point. Like, that being able to slow down and dig into my Bible and to see things like teach me new things about God and who I am, because I'm just I'm slowing down and I'm learning more about God.
Yeah.
It reveals things about who I am that gives me a whole different perspective on life. Even like it feels even in the midst of COVID and quarantine, it felt like there was purpose and there was something driving life, even though I was stuck at home.
Yeah.
I don't know. Reading my Bible has been something that has become extra important. I always knew it was a thing that I valued and that I needed to make more time for, but it like became something that I have to do in COVID.
Yeah, I'm really thankful for that reminder, actually, Paul, because I've actually struggled with that this week. For those of you who know me, you know, like I'm in my Bible every day, but it's been a whirlwind this week, and I don't know if you guys are feeling that at all or not, and I know you are for sure, Paul, but it has been such a whirlwind that, I mean, I'm in a lot of different Bible reading plans with friends as well, but I honestly I've slowed down. It's been harder to get that really intentional time in my Bible, and I will also say, on top of the Bible reading and just like growing closer to God through that, I've also really enjoyed growing closer to people through that.
Oh, for sure.
My relationships have been strengthened through that.
Yeah.
And then I will even, like now that I see people every once in a while in person, they'll be like, oh my gosh, somebody the other day said in the Bible app. And so it's like also becoming part of like normal everyday conversation. It's not just on our phones that we're talking back and forth, but now it's also like, that was such a cool thing you said, or whatever, like actually in person. So it's really sort of making the Bible come to life in so many ways.
I think on a total different note, another thing that I've really come to value in COVID, or maybe I guess I'm reminded how important it is to me, is just relationship and community. Like it, I think you all felt it right off the bat when we were quarantined and you couldn't see anyone, and instantly everyone was just isolated and alone. And I think that a lot of us found ways to find at least chunks of community. But boy, I have never realized how important community was to me. And being able just to like, I think it's still tied to being able to slow down, to being able to like just hang with someone. The value of spending an evening around a bonfire, or having dinner with someone, like those are things that I didn't realize that I had a high value for until like they were very few and far between. Oh, another thing.
I'm nervous about where this is going.
You shouldn't be, it's fine. Also, by the way, there's ice cream like just bopping all over. It's on my pants, it's on the bench, it's a party. But one of the things that McEvers and I have just started, like literally days ago, just started.
This is day 3.
Day 3.
I think I know where you're going.
Yeah, no, now you got it. We're in the same wave. We just started reading a devotional book together. It was just something that was on the to-do list for a long time. And when we were planning classes this weekend, I don't know, when we were working some point, we were like, you know what? This book actually has potential things that we would want to use. Let's dig into it. Holy bejeebers.
It's amazing.
I'm learning even more about the importance of slowing down. Now, like, sure, when I was dealing with COVID, like, I had to slow down. It was forced on me. Now this is an act of choosing to slow down, and it feels different.
Feels better.
Yeah, there's so much. So even this morning, like I said, this is the first day of school. I know you're watching on the second day of school, but even this morning, before all of the crazy went on, we forced ourselves to stop working for a minute.
It was real hard because we had a lot to get done.
It was bad, but we forced ourselves.
Yeah, we did.
To stop, and I don't know, we read it for like a half hour, and man, it was life-giving to. One of the things that I just learned, and I've never thought of this before, was that when we worship God, like we're worshiping and singing all of our praise to Him. And I'm like, okay, why do we worship God? Yeah, we worship Him because He's worthy of our praise. This is fine and dandy. But did you know that He sings back? I never thought of that or realized or maybe even knew that. It's in the Bible, folks. I've read it before, never clicked in here. But it's not even necessarily written in here. It was the act of just slowing down and the activities that are in here that helped me to just listen to God's voice. And it was like, you know what? I'm singing over you too, is what God was saying, and I'm like, wait, like in the way that I worship and praise you, you sing the same kind of love back to me? That gives me a total different perspective of worship. And here I am, a worship leader, and it's like what I love to do. Ah!
I think for me, like, there's a lot of things I've learned in 3 days. 3 days. It's only been 3 days.
We've been doing it for 3 days.
You guys, it's just been really incredible. So for me, like, I again, I spend time in my Bible, like, and that's great time with God. But this feels like different time with God. It feels like really intentional time with God. It does. I don't know if you guys have this problem, like, but one of the things I really struggle with as a Christian is I have a hard time, like, just sitting and being with God. Like, and part of it is because I'm, like, always going, but the other part of it is just, like, when I am sitting and I'm like, okay, I'm going to spend this time with God, okay, so I fall asleep. Or
always fall asleep.
Dang. I always fall asleep. And then, or it's like I'm praying and I talk to God about a couple of things, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh my gosh, I totally forgot I have to do that thing. And then it's like, okay, I forgot that I was even praying. Like, so this has been intentional time. It's not just like, I'm going to sit down and read my Bible and to get that done because it's important to me as a Christian and that's how God speaks to me. This has been just sitting with God in His presence, and that's been cool. This is the word, when we talk about savor, I'm going to read you the definition that comes actually straight from this book. It says, to delight in, enjoy, or appreciate completely, especially by dwelling on it. And I've just been savoring the presence of God. He's savoring ice cream, and
Also
I guess
the
I am
presence
too.
of God, but I mean, I'm learning that savoring is important. That's what I'm learning.
Yeah, totally. And also, like, I don't know, I just feel like in this crazy busy world that we live in, like, I have such a desire to sit in the presence of God, but I also don't know how to do it. And then I feel like sometimes, like, as a teacher, Christian studies teacher, like, I want you to be able to do that too, but I don't even really know how to tell you how to do that. And so this has just been kind of like, it's really just like readings. It's not even really devotional focus, but it's just been, it's teaching me things, and so yeah.
I had a train of thought.
That's actually what happened to mine, but I figured it out. I do have something I do want to read.
Yeah, mine will come back.
Okay, so it'll take me just a minute to find this, but this verse, for whatever reason, when I think of the word savor, and when I think of slowing down and just really being intentional with God, this is the verse that comes to mind. And I'm actually going to read it. Oh, this isn't the Message version. I am going to read it out of the Message version because the Message version, it just kind of gives like an interesting spin on it. And it's the scripture that comes from Matthew 11. It's, come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. And but let me actually read it in this version because it is incredible.
Don't worry, I won't forget.
You won't forget what?
What I remembered. You keep going.
Oh, you guys, we love you. This is fantastic. Give me just a second. But this has been one of my favorite verses. I don't know if I'd necessarily call it my life verse, but it has been one of my favorites. But when I read it in the Message, I was like, yep, and there it is. This is even more meaningful to me now after I read it in this Message version. So, it says this, Matthew 11, 28 through 30. Are you tired, worn out, burned out on religion? Come to me, get away with me, and you'll recover your life. I'll show you how to take a real rest. Walk with me and work with me. Watch how I do it. Learn the unforced rhythms of grace. I won't lay anything heavy or ill-fitting on you. Keep company with me, and you'll learn to live freely and lightly. Isn't that good? Get away with me, and you'll recover your life. Wow. I just think it's so beautiful, and it just sits in my heart. And it just soaks. I don't know. It's just a good verse to savor on, honestly, just to soak in and just really appreciate.
We were in the depths of some planning of some kind. I don't even know, but we hit a roadblock, and Jess and I were like, you know what? We should really just stop for a while. It's time to just pray.
Yeah.
And like Jess had said that, and I'm like, I don't even know what to say to God right now. And so my response was, I was just trying to find the right words to say. And I'm like, I feel like I just need to listen. And I didn't have the words to quite say that on that day. That was when we bought the books. A lot has happened since we bought the books. But I think that there's real value in the resting in God. Not even like just like specifically praying to God, praying with God, like a back and forth. Like,
oh, that's good.
It doesn't have to be I'm going to pray to you all of these things on my to-do list.
I do that all the time.
Every time when I sit down to pray, I pray to God. I don't pray with God. I wonder if that's theologically wrong to say pray with. I don't know, but I like the concept.
I do too.
The concept is right on. We should pray with, or we should be in that conversation with God. And sometimes I think that means that we literally need to just bask in His presence and let Him speak to us, which is hard.
It is. And sometimes like people will talk about conversation with God, so then I still feel like I need to talk to Him, and then I stop and I'm like, okay, talk back to me.
Like I feel like I have to
Answer
direct
me.
the conversation.
Yeah. And
God, should I get ice cream
weird.
today?
Oh, that's ours, yes.
I don't hear anything.
I think that means yes. No, but I don't know if you guys ever feel like that, but it's like I want to try to be in conversation with God, and it's like, again, you talk to Him, and then I want you to talk back to me. And then I feel like sometimes I don't hear anything, or I don't get any impressions on my heart. But yeah, just like being with God in those holy moments. I love those holy moments. And I would say honestly, and I know not every day is going to be like this when we do this time with God that we've been doing, but I will tell you, I have had 3 days of holy moments. And the first day it was really holy. I was sitting there and I was sitting with Eloise, and she came and snuggled up on my lap, and that felt holy to me as a mom. And then day 2, it was crazy and chaotic because she was being Eloise, but it felt holy still in that, because what we were learning about was observing and watching the things around us, and I got to delight in watching her even though she wasn't participating. And then this morning it was just 2 quiet people in a room sitting in the presence of God, and so it's been very different holy moments, but God has still met me in all those places.
We are approaching a time that is probably about all the time you have in your chapel advisory. Who knows? But folks, again, this is just us having a back and forth conversation because this is what we do. But if there's anything that I think you should take or challenge yourself from this, is like what does it look like for you to slow down and to just make space for God to speak to you? Is that something that's easy for you? Is it hard for you? Have you given it a real shot?
And maybe if you have time right now, if you guys have a couple extra minutes in your chapel advisory groups, why don't you talk about that? Sit down and talk about, is that hard? Is that easy? For some of you, maybe it's really easy. For some of us, not so much. Yeah. We're just really glad that you guys tuned in and that you guys are able to do this. We weren't sure what chapel would look like this year, but I think...
We're glad it can still happen.
Yes, and I think you'll still enjoy it and feel engaged in it. So I think we should pray before we... Should we talk to God? Should we talk to God before we go?
Yeah, I'll pray. Hey God, I thank you so much for these times we get to be in these chapel advisories, and God, even just for this conversation right now, of trying to explore the ways that we feel like you're guiding us right now, especially in this season of slowing down, this season of stripping things out of our life and being able to focus in directly on you. God, I pray for the students, for the staff, for the teachers, the kitchen crew, whoever is watching this, the parents. God, I pray that in each of our hearts, God, we're able to find stillness and rest, and that it's not always just a conversation directed at you, but God, that we can be in conversation with you. So God, I pray that we have the time, we take a moment where we can let you speak back to us. We love you a whole bunch. And I pray.
Amen.
Amen.
Bye, guys.
See you
Have
later.
a good lunch / last part of the day.